Everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here at Insurance Syndicate headquarters. And man, we have a great show for you.
Good morning, man. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. We are back for another Tuesday Training episode, as always, right here live at 9 a.m. The goal is to do our best to bring you guys some actionable content that you can use, put in your business, elevate your game, elevate your business, take care of more people, and certainly grow your business and grow your income. So that is the whole goal. And generally, we do center around Medicare a lot here because that's my jam. You know, I'm certainly not upset to talk about other topics, but usually when I'm the only one on the show, we're going to talk Medicare, and that's definitely what we're going to talk today. I got some news lined up for you guys. Nothing super new and fantastic. Some of it is reminders. A little bit of it's new. CMS dropped the new final rule today regarding outpatient appeals that I'm going to show you, and found a couple of other little tools that you might like as well. But I've got some questions that I pulled from some of the Facebook groups talking about Medicare, some kind of random questions that people are asking, you know, that agents are asking out there. So I thought I would address some of those. And at the same time, I'm going to invite you to drop your questions in the comments, man. This is a chance. I wouldn't say necessarily ask me anything about Medicare, but ask me about stuff that's going on for this AEP. Ask me something that's maybe going on in your business, something about Medicare that you want to know that I could certainly help you out with. Just drop them in the comments. But before we dive into the show, before we dive into the news, big shout out to my guy, Eric Fierro, and the team over at DFY. They, as of course, are sponsors of the show to help us bring it to light for you guys. So I really appreciate their support. And that is a CRM that I use, man. And I absolutely adore the CRM. It is, and I've worked with a couple of different white labeled versions of Go High Level. This is easily the best one of the three that I've messed around with. And his recent expansion is pretty amazing. Some of the new services that DFY is offering in conjunction with their CRM. So one of the things they've added as an example, and actually, let me just put this on screen because that'll be even easier for you. Give me just a moment here. Which one do I want to share? I want to share that one. Yes, this one right here. Check some of this new stuff out that they've added, man. They now have a speed to lead call program. So if you're getting leads and you're having a little trouble getting up to them quick enough, they've got telemarketers that will jump on that call for you, and they will get that person on the phone in less than 5 minutes. Pretty slick. They've also got now ads incorporated into the platform where you can actually manage your Facebook ads from the platform, and they will help you do it. On that one, you get everything in the speed to lead, plus all this other stuff. Pre-filled ACA leads, live transfer, final expense leads, one-to-one onboard calling, et cetera, et cetera. They got a boss level. Again, another upgrade. Now you're looking at dynamic creatives, tailored funnel setups, TikTok ads, et cetera, et cetera. If you just need someone to help you with some dialing, you can now rent a caller through the DFY CRM. If you need custom work, and this is where I fall in because I do get them to do some custom work for me from time to time, they can help you build custom workflows, right, where you can plug in your assets, custom funnels, custom websites, landing pages, yada, yada, yada. They'll even help you set up your AI chatbot if you don't already have it. And then finally, they even go all the way on to a full enterprise level for IMOs. So if you're looking to scale something massive, if you got a bunch of agents in your crew that you're supplying leads to, maybe gray label versions of DFY or Go High Level, et cetera, they've got it all for you. Lots of new stuff in their system, man. And recently, and I talked about this last week, as a matter of fact, but recently I was having a minor issue that I needed help solving. And I jumped into their chat support. They were on the chat with me within a couple of minutes, walked me through the problem, helped me fix it instantly. So excellent support over there. I'm super, 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 super happy with the service and certainly glad that they're helping us with the show here. So again, thank you, Eric Fierro. Thank you for the team at DFY. And we're going to get Eric on the show here upcoming soon. We are working on some dates that we can get, and we will have him on the show. He is the only platinum level go high leveler, if I'm saying that even right, in the insurance world. The dude definitely knows his stuff. But let's get into a little bit of news, man. Like I said, we don't have anything super amazing or brand new in the news. A lot of it is recap stuff. But right here, as we already know, millions will lose their Medicare Advantage coverage this year. This happens every year, technically, although it's a little more this year. Every year, roughly 1 million Medicare beneficiaries lose access to their Medicare Advantage plan by no fault of their own through plan exits, service area reductions, and sometimes, maybe unfavorable plan crosswalks that might not be to their advantage. This article kind of outlines where a lot of those are coming from. We know it's mainly coming from service area reductions. Humana's cutting back. They're going to lose 560,000 members. Aetna's going to lose a couple 100,000. United Healthcare is going to lose a bunch. Kansas City Blue, like there's a bunch of plans, WellCare, that are pulling out of market. So nothing really new in this article, but it does kind of go down, some of the carriers a little bit deeper, and will explain kind of some of the exact numbers that they are losing. So, it's a bit of a fear article. It's true. We are, more beneficiaries than normal are losing their plans this year, but every year this happens, right? And there is a large percentage of people that have to make some changes and figure out what they are going to do. And we're going to dive into this topic a little more when we get to the Q&A section. So nothing major there, but that's a great article. Like I said, I've said this many times before. If you're an agent out there that's trying to develop content to talk to your consumers about, stealing articles from the news is one of the best things to do, because you can do a couple of things. One, you can shoot holes in their misinformation, right? And help highlight yourself as the expert, or you can just use it, lean on it to create your own content and talk about it. One of my buddies, Ken Brannigan, does it really well, where he'll grab an article like that and just display it on his Instagram screen or whatever. And he's in an inset and he's pointing to it going, hey, there's what's going on. And then he explains what's happening in that article. But easy way to hijack content, man, is just to grab it from authorities that are already out there producing it, whether they're producing great content or stuff that you can use to point out misinformation. Always great stuff. Moving right along, as we know, the 2025 Medicare open enrollment starts today. Today is kickoff day, man. AEP kicks off today. Are you ready for some of these changes? Most of you already know about some of the changes, but here's another great piece from Investopedia that you can use. And I'm not going to go through the whole article, but what is new for Medicare in 2025? Well, we already know the big one that most people are talking about is the $2,000 out-of-pocket limit for Part D drugs, right? That's the big one, that people are not going to spend more than $2,000 when filling up their prescriptions at the pharmacy. And in a lot of cases, the way the troop is now calculated, they're not even going to spend $2,000. They might only spend $1,300, $1,700, something like that in their actual cash money out of pocket. We are seeing deductibles go up. We already know that the Part D deductible usually goes up every year. But more importantly, we are seeing plans that are increasing their deductible either to the full amount, or they're now including a deductible where they weren't before. So we are certainly seeing that more often. We have, as we know, the opt-in Medicare prescription payment plan, where people can now take their prescription costs and spread them across a 12-month period to keep them more stable, right? So instead of paying a whole bunch of money in January and February, and then it tears down, they can keep it a little more level. One of the keys in that program, if you deal with people that are going to get signed up for it next year, they will not spend their money at the pharmacy. They will get billed by their carrier for those items and have to cover them. We are seeing, of course, the elimination of the donut hole this year. No more donut hole. That is gone. People are going to hit the catastrophic coverage level a little quicker with the new troop calculation. And then again, the cap jumps on top of that. And then the final one that's not really talked about very much, is this new mid-year notice about unused benefits. So if you have a Medicare beneficiary on a plan, and let's say they have a bunch of supplemental benefits, dental, vision, hearing, fitness, OTC cards, whatever it might be, If they are not using them at the level that the carrier really wants them to use them, they're going to send them a notice mid-year to remind them, hey, you guys have access to these supplemental benefits. We need you using them. And big reason why is Medicare is cracking down, or CMS is cracking down on plans that are loading up, Medicare Advantage plans that are loading up supplemental benefits that don't get used as a point to sell their product, right? We already know we can't advertise the supplemental benefits as a way to hook people in to sell Medicare Advantage plans. And this is another way to make sure that Medicare Advantage plans are only including supplemental benefits that are actually being utilized. And just to give you an example, I remember when, was this 3 or 4 years ago, when United Healthcare dropped silver sneakers? A lot of people were kind of upset about it. Well, United Healthcare came back and said, hey, man, we're only getting 17% utilization out of silver sneakers. I mean, it cost us money as United Healthcare to pay to be in the silver sneakers program, and nobody's using it. 17% of the people are saying, are actually using that gym benefit or that silver sneakers membership. So understanding that a lot of supplemental benefits are not being used, but they're being added to plans to inflate the value, CMS doesn't want that. And so this is one of the starting points, is they are now going to send out a notice to all the beneficiaries to remind them, hey, you have these supplemental benefits. Don't forget about them. Please go use them, because if you don't use them, we're not going to be able to include them in the plan next year or the next year. Like, that's kind of where they're going with this. They want to make sure that the supplemental benefits that are included are being used, and they're not just sizzle selling points. I kind of said sailing there, didn't I? All right, moving along. This is a good one here. Who should and shouldn't sign up for the new Medicare prescription payment program or payment plan? Now, again, I mentioned this earlier. This is an option where people will have the chance to spread their prescription refill cost across a 12-month period to keep them more level, right? Instead of having a giant kind of slope down system, so to speak. So I'm not going to go through this article, but there's 2 paragraphs where they list, hey, who should sign up for it? And then more importantly, who should not sign up for it? I'm of the opinion that if you're an agent, you should be very, very picky on who you mention this program to, because I'm a little hesitant to believe that it's going to run smoothly, at least the first year. I believe that there's probably going to be some major hiccups in it. People that end up not paying their bill that they were billed by the carrier for the month, and then now they owe 3 months or 4 months of back billing, etc. It feels to me like we're on the crux of a nightmare with this program, but I hope not. Like, let's hope good, but I'm going to let it ride out a little bit, and I'm going to be very, very careful and picky about anybody that I recommend this as an option for them. But cruising down, I'm going to go through their bullet points of who should and should not get involved in this, right? So fairly simple. Who should and shouldn't? The types of people who would most likely benefit by signing up for the Medicare payment program. Well, pretty simple. Those who have more than $2,000 in out-of-pocket Part D prescription costs in the first 9 months. Right? Not necessarily those that have high prescription costs in the year, but those whose high cost are gravitated in those first 9 months. I would probably even say first 6 months, and even more importantly, first 3 months, right? If their costs are super high in the first part of the year, but they're really low at the bottom of the year because they get to catastrophic coverage super quick, those are the people that you should be considering, right? It also says those who will have or owe more than $600 in a single Part D prescription in any month. So anybody spending more than $600 in a single month would be a good candidate for you. Next one, those who have high Part D deductibles and they want to smooth those out. So basically anybody that has the $590 deductible, they're saying might be an option as well. Now next, and this is the better one, I think. Who are the types of people that are least likely to benefit from the Medicare payment plan? Well, those whose yearly drug costs are low, right? You got that person that's maybe they're on a low-cost drug plan and they're only taking a couple of generics that cost them $3 or $5 every time they fill it. That is definitely not the person you should be hassling with this. Those whose out-of-pocket Part D prescriptions are the same every month. They don't change. They're not on a downward slope exponential scale. They're spending the same $100 every month, same $200 every month, same $250 every month. If it's the same every month, there's no reason to try to load them up on the payment program because it's still going to be a levelized payment. Next one, those who can manage their monthly out-of-pocket Part D cost. Right. So, I mean, I have some clients in my book that definitely have some prescriptions. They're going to benefit from the 2K cap, but they don't really need the payment program because they're good income earners. They have money. They can afford to drop $400 or $500 the first month and then watch it tear down. It's not going to hurt them. Right. This is for people that have trouble budgeting more expensive months over and they want a stabilized, closer to a fixed payment system, right? One of the same things that makes Medicare supplements very attractive. They know exactly how much they're spending every month, month in, month out. They can budget for it. Who else would be the least likely to benefit? Well, those who get Part D subsidies through Medicare's Extra Help plan. Duh. Right? If you're getting extra help, if you're on low income subsidy, the Medicare savings program, I mean the Medicare payment program, the 12-month payment program, probably not for you. Let's be honest. And then those who sign up after September 2025. So if you have a T65 and they're coming in late after mid-year, that is not someone that you want to bother with on the payment program because they're not going to have the full 12 months to benefit from it. They're coming in too late. So they're just going to have to deal with those months. And then next year, 2026, maybe they would be a better candidate based on their outlay of their prescription costs. So pretty simple. I'll get this article in the group for us as well. You guys can check that out, and that might help guide you a little bit. I think it's kind of common knowledge, but good points there. Moving right along. Star ratings have come out. Some people have already seen that, right? But star ratings came out, and there are some carriers that are suffering, and there are some carriers that are actually doing really well. Even though you might say that they're kind of cheating in it. But anyway, this article will outlay some of the information regarding star ratings. It doesn't get super deep into it, but it talks a little bit about how many people are now going to be covered by plans that are 4 stars or more this next year versus previous years, right? So as an example right here, it says 62% of people currently enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans that cover prescription drugs, 62% are covered by plans rated 4 stars or more. That's for 2025. Last year, it was 74%, right? So we're going from 74% of people that are enrolled in MAPD having a 4-star or higher rated plan to that's dropping down to 62%. It further says that about 40% of plans being offered are 4 stars or higher, down from 42%. So not a big drop there. Right, we're only seeing a 2% shift in total plans being offered having 4 stars or more. But a big part of that is, well, the number of plan exits that we had this year. I mean, we had a grotesque number of plan exits, which is a big reason of why those star ratings aren't, from a broad scope, isn't reducing as much, right? Because we just have less plans. So obviously it's going to come in lower. If we had the same number of plans with the new star ratings, I think that number would be a lot lower. Moving on to a couple more. CVS, which is Aetna's products, right, said separately that 88% of its MA plan members are enrolled in plans that are 4 stars or higher, with more than 2/3 in a 4.5-star plan. It said that includes its health insurance unit, Aetna's 2 largest national plans. In 2024, 87% of Aetna members were enrolled in highly rated plans, only 21% in 2023. So they are picking it up. They're actually slightly increasing, right? 2024, 87% of their members were in 4-star or more. Now they're going up to 88%. And another big reason why that is, well, they exited a ton of plans. And a lot of those plans they exited were below 4 stars already, right? So they believe that they are putting themselves on a path to improve overall performance. Humana, on the other side, is not as fortunate, I would say. And I believe UHC was another one. They just launched a new lawsuit against CMS. You should see that article in the group regarding star ratings. But it says here that Humana is likely to track in line with its estimates, which pointed to only a quarter of its members enrolled in 2025 in 4+ stars. 94% last year. So I'm going to say that again. Humana last year, or this year, 2024, has 94% of its members enrolled in a 4-star or better plan. In 2025, they predict only 25% of their members will be in a plan rating with 4 stars or more. Big part of that is plan exits. Big part of that is a new star rating system. Humana is not happy about it. They just bringing down their star ratings overall. So little information there to see what's going on with the star ratings. There's another great article by AEP that goes through it in good detail, but we are seeing some carriers a wee bit miffed over this. And the next one, I don't know if you saw this. It was just released this morning, a new Federal Register. It's a new final rule from Medicare regarding the rights to appeal outpatient services. Basically, this is when you are you're hospitalized, but then you get moved to observation, right? And now you're being billed under Part B as an outpatient instead of Part A as an inpatient. And then obviously your costs go up. They have a new program on how you can appeal that. Couple of different things. This is a lengthy document. I have not had time to go through it because it just came out this morning. But I saw it in a news blurb. And I saw what they were doing here. So they have a retrospective review process. They have an expedited appeals process. I'm going to get this in the group. If you have people that are going through this, and if you haven't already, you eventually will, this will help you understand how you can best appeal that to make sure that that observation status is covered under Part A, right? Another great thing you can do is sell them a hospital indemnity plan that helps cover their out-of-pocket co-payments for hospital inpatient, and includes observation stays as well, right? There are several great hospital indemnity plans out there that will cover that observation benefit. But when you have people that aren't in a hospital indemnity plan, this incredibly lengthy article, you can read through it, punch through it, and you will find out the best process on how you can appeal that to get that covered. Pretty simple. So that's some of the new stuff that I got. And other than that, like I said, I pulled some random questions from some of the different Facebook groups that are out there talking about Medicare, and just pulled a few questions that I want to run through with you guys. We're going to answer them live right here. And if you guys have questions, man, I am watching the comments. I appreciate all y'all tuning in. I see you out there. So please feel free to drop your own questions in there if you have a question about what is going on with Medicare, or maybe what you need to do, yada, yada, yada. Or maybe you have a follow-up question for some of these ones that I'm about to put on stage. But we're going to kick it off. What is the first one here? Here we got, this one came in. Where is the best place to find beneficiary plan information if they don't have their Medicare card? Things like their Medicaid level, plan, LAS. There's a bunch of good places. Probably the easiest place is just UHC. They have a chat desk that'll help you with it, or you can just call in and get that information. You will need some of their information, right? You're going to need a social, or you're going to need a birth date. You're going to need a Medicare number if you can get a hold of it, some of that data. If you have their Medicare card number and their birth dates, you can get a lot of info out of Sunfire as well. But you do need their Medicare number and the date of birth, right? So you're going to have to get some bits of information. You can't just have nothing and expect to find all that back. But United Healthcare, Humana, WellCare, and I'm sure pretty much any other Medicare Advantage carrier, if you have some data, you can call them and find out what their Medicaid status is for sure. Absolutely. Moving along. If a drug is not on formulary, is there still a $2,000 cap on their cost for 2025? No, there's not. The $2,000 only applies to drugs that are covered on the formulary. If it is not on formulary, they are paying full cost unless they are using some other savings. GoodRx, Mark Cuban's thing, Canadian Med Store, right? Pharmaceutical assistance program, state pharmaceutical assistance, manufacturer's assistance, blah, blah, blah. And speaking of, if you haven't seen it already, Norma Johnson's tool, strategiesforrxsavings.com, is phenomenal at helping you find all the ways to save money on drugs that aren't on formulary, right? It's definitely worth its price. We have a discount code on that, 20% off. It is the deepest discount code she has offered anybody on that platform. I believe the code is Syndicate think it's just Syndicate. Might be Syndicate 20. But if you don't have that platform and you want it and you need the promo code, let me know. But it should also be on our preferred vendor list. You can find it there, which is always linked in the group. But again, if the drug's not on formulary, it is not included in the 2K cap, only drugs that are covered on formulary. Next question that I found, can a person turning 65 who is on dialysis obtain a Medicare supplement plan, even though their Medicare Parts A and B started years ago? So if you know Medicare, you know the answer to this already, but I want to expand on the scenario here. This person is now turning 65, but had A and B from years ago, whether it be from ESRD or whether it be from disability, right? So there is a silver lining for people that obtain Medicare A and B before they turn 65. They end up getting 2 full Medicare supplement open enrollment periods. They get the first one when they qualify for Part B. Now, the problem is when you're under 65, the plan availability for Medicare supplement plans is very limited by state. Like, for example, in Texas, if you're under 65, the only plan that any carrier is required to offer you is Plan A. And they're allowed to jack up the rates. It's about $450 depending on the zip code that you're in to get an under 65 Plan A in Texas. Other states, a lot more generous. I think, as I remember, Colorado is an example where they can't increase the rates for under 65 disabled folks on MedSup. And there's numerous others that are similar. I certainly don't have that. A great tool for that type of information, though, is not only in the Choosing a Medigap Policy Guide, but even more easily found in Mutual Omaha's Underwriting Guide. Even if you're not writing Mutual of Omaha as a Medicare supplement, get a copy of their underwriting guide. It is easily one of the best underwriting guides out there that includes information on scenarios just like this one. And it will tell you every state, what the plan availability is for the different under 65 rates, right? It'll tell you all kinds of great stuff. Awesome, awesome tool. So in this scenario, this person, when they qualified for Part B many years ago, would have had an open enrollment period for Medicare supplement, but they will get a second one when they turn 65. So this is a beautiful silver lining for someone like this, right? We know that they're in a situation that if we put them on a Medicare Advantage plan, they're going to get mooped out pretty quick, right? They're going to definitely probably hit the moop if there's someone that's dealing with dialysis and what other health conditions they might have. But if we can put them on an affordable Medicare supplement when they turn 65, then we're going to tighten all that up for them. And we're going to make it a nice low premium. I mean, if this was a person that was in Texas, for example, I could get them a Plan G for under $100. I could get them a Plan N for probably $70 plus or minus. And that would be way better than any moop they might have in Texas if there's someone that's dealing with dialysis on a Medicare Advantage plan. So yes, people who are dealing with Medicare disability that have Medicare before age 65, when they cross that 65-year-old threshold, starting the first day of the month that they turn 65, they get another 6 months where they can jump in a MedSup open enrollment and you still get full commission. Moving along, I am trying to advise a client between Plan G and Plan N in Ohio. He is in his Medigap open enrollment. Is physical therapy included in the Plan N $20 copayment? So if you're not already familiar with Plan N, and this is one of my favorite Medicare supplement plans to write, I would say probably 85% of my Medicare supplement clients are all on Plan N because I understand exactly how the plan works. I explain to them exactly how the plan works. And mathematically speaking, like, it's the plan of choice. It's what you should be picking, not only to get good rates and good coverage today, but in the future, because the rate trends on Plan N are lower than any other plan out there, bar none. Do the math, period. So if the name of the game in Medicare supplements is to keep your people on the books by steady rate trends over a long period of time instead of big jumps, well, Plan N's where it's at. But getting back to this question, so Plan N, under the Part B services, right? You have to pay the Part B deductible first, which this year is $240. I haven't seen the final number, but it is going to be going up next year. I've seen, I think, $255 and $257 thrown around. If anybody knows that for a fact and you're in the comments and you have a link to exactly what the new Medicare cost offer next year, because I have yet to find them from Medicare's mouth. I've only seen rumors. I know they're going up, just don't know how much. But if you know how much it's going up, let me know. But anyway, plan in, you have to first pay that Part B deductible, $240. After that Part B deductible is met, if you have additional doctor visits through the rest of that year, you're going to pay a flat $20. Well, they're asking about, is that $20 included in physical therapy? Generally, I would say no, but it ultimately is going to depend on the billing code. Now, when I tell my client, I'm going to tell them that any type of doctor visit you have after the $240, right? I'm going to advise them that you will likely have to pay up to a $20 copay. It's just going to depend on the type of visit. Primary care, specialist, rehab, outpatient, this or that, right? But ultimately, it really depends on the billing codes. And I'll show you guys something that I found from a friend of mine, Danielle Kunkel Roberts. Let me share this on the screen real quick. I found an excellent article that she had put out from her group, Boomer Benefits. I'm not going to go through the whole article, but what I'm going to show you are these billing codes. So these are the office billing codes that are subject to the $20 plan in copayment, right? I have no idea what those billing codes are. I can go look them up, but in this moment, I don't know what they are, but they're office visits for whatever they might be. There's also some ER codes that apply there. So if you want to drill down and get that geeky with it, well, there's your codes to figure out which type of billing codes would be subject to that flat $20 copayment going forward. I generally just advise my client that, like, hey, if you're going to visit the doctor as an outpatient, you're likely going to see a copayment up to $20 because it depends on what the billing code is. It depends on what Medicare's cost share is of that billing code, because there will be situations where maybe they only pay $16 as the copayment or $12, and other instances where they would pay the full $20, but they would never pay more than $20. Fairly simple. And then just to take that one other little step further, if you're wondering about, hey, do I sell my client Plan G or Plan N, just do some math and ask them, like, hey, how often are you going to see the doctor? And just do some math, because it usually takes about 4 to 5 doctor visits to fill up the full deductible, unless they're really extensive doctor visits. But if it's a basic doctor visit, most of the time they're going to be paying, $30 to $50 a pop until they hit their $240. And then they would be $20 flat after that. So some simple math will figure it out. Look at the annual rate difference between Plan G and Plan N. Or if you have someone that's predates 1/1/2020, Plan F versus Plan G versus Plan N. But look at it from the annual rate difference, and then do some estimations on how much they're going to spend in doctor copayments. But then more importantly, think future, like that Plan G is going to go up at a higher rate. We're seeing Plan G trends right now staying fairly consistent at 10 to 12% on average. Plan N, with a few minor exceptions, on average is about a 2 to 3% rate trend. So, I mean, even if they are paying a little bit more in out of pocket slightly because they're having some extra doctor visits and copayments, dude, their rate trends are going to be much better in the long haul. So ultimately, long term, you're saving a money on Plan N, 100%. Next question. I was told by an IMO that I cannot talk about life insurance in an AEP appointment, even if I was given permission in the scope of appointment. Wow. Number one, there is no life insurance permission on any scope of appointment. And if you're an agent out there making your own generic scope of appointment, you need to rectify that immediately. Because if you've got your own fake scope of appointment that you created and you added life insurance as an option that people can check off on there, you are 100% uncompliant, and you need to go get a real scope of appointment. While we can make our own permission to contact forms, because all we need is the disclaimer language. That's the only thing required on there. And we don't need anybody's approval to create our own permission to contact. A scope of appointment form must be CMS verified and compliant. They all have to be filed with CMS, that it fits the language that they want, that it suits the scope of appointment, and it has their stamp on the bottom, et cetera, et cetera. You can't just willy-nilly create your own scope, number one. And if you look at any CMS compliant scope, whether it's from a carrier or whatnot, it will not have life insurance on it. It doesn't exist. It's not on the scope of appointment, period. So you can't be given permission in a scope of appointment to talk about life insurance. It's impossible. If you're doing a verbal scope and you're including that in your verbal scope, you need to stop. When you're doing an appointment, and I'm going to be really clear about this too, because this is also one of those areas that gets a little gray, man. Just because it's AEP doesn't make any, is not what matters. It's the products that I'm talking about. So if during my appointment, I am specifically talking about or presenting Medicare Advantage plans or prescription drug plans, those are the only two products I have to get a scope for. Now, chances are if you're doing presentations during AEP, you're probably talking about one or both of those products. So yeah, get your scope. And I'm of the opinion that you should always get a scope for any Medicare appointment so that your hands aren't tied when the conversation comes around. And do your best to try to get every product checked on there so that you are wide open to talk. Because if you get to a space and they want to now talk about hospital indemnity, but it wasn't previously signed, well, then you got to get another scope and do it again, right? That whole process. So number one, understand that life insurance does not exist on the scope of appointment, whether you're doing it verbal compliantly or you're using the paper or electronic scope, you won't see it. So you can't get permission to talk about life insurance through the scope. It's impossible, right? And any Medicare appointment where you are presenting Medicare Advantage plans or drug plans, you are only allowed to talk about health insurance products as listed on that scope. And they better be listed on the scope. If you use a scope that doesn't include hospital indemnity, well, then you're not allowed to talk about it because it wasn't agreed upon prior to the appointment, right? But the only products you should see on the scope to be a compliant scope would obviously be Medicare Advantage plans, prescription drug plans, Medicare supplement plans, dental, vision, hearing, and supplemental insurance like cancer, heart, stroke, hospital indemnity, home health care. Those are the products that I'm allowed to speak about. I can't talk about annuities. I can't talk about long-term care. I can't talk about life insurance. I can't talk about Medishare or any of this other stuff. I have to stick in that group of products. Now, after I've made that appointment and it's done, then I can come back later on a secondary appointment and then talk about life. So I can bring up life insurance, or maybe they can ask life insurance. Let me rephrase that. They might ask me about life insurance and I can say, you know what, Miss Jones, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually help a lot of my clients with their burial policies or their life insurance needs, whatever it is. However, Medicare doesn't allow me to do that in the same conversation. So let's take care of this first. But now that I know that, we'll work on scheduling a secondary appointment to do a needs analysis on your life insurance needs, and we'll come back and we'll bang that out for you. Sound fair? Excellent. That's simple. But do not talk about life insurance on your MAPD or part drug plan or PDP conversations. Now, taking that another step, if you're not presenting drug plans or Medicare Advantage plans, maybe you're just presenting a Medicare supplement plan, and that's the only thing you're actually there to talk about. Well, number one, you don't need a scope. Number two, you can talk about anything you want to talk about, right? The rules, the compliance rules around marketing, advertising, sales language, scope of appointments, cross-marketing, etc. All of that only exists in the world of Part D and Medicare Advantage plans, right? The little Part C area, basically. All of those marketing, compliance, sales, can't cold call, can't do this, can't cross-market, can't door knock. All of that shit only applies when your intention is to sell or present Medicare Advantage or prescription drugs. If my intention is to sell Medicare supplements and that's what my presentation is, I am not bound to any of that garbage. I can cold call, I can door knock, I can cross market, I can talk about whatever the hell I want until I venture over into drug plans and Medicare Advantage plans. Then my hands get tied up with all the different compliance rules. Now, there are a couple of states that I can't cold call in or door knock before someone jumps in the comments and says, you can't do that in Ohio. You're right. I can't cold call and door knock people over 65 in Ohio, right? And then certainly in Louisiana, there are certain holidays that don't allow you to do it. You'll see some of that from time to time. You'll see blackout dates during holidays where you're not allowed to cold call or door knock. But for the most part, like if I'm running with Medicare supplement plans and that's my intention, that's my lead product that I'm running with in my script and everything, I can 100% do all those rules. When the client switches gears on me, it's like, well, what about these Medicare Advantage plans? Well, I'd be happy to talk to you about those. We just got to sign a scope. You got to reset your appointment for 48 hours later and then come back and jam on it. Fairly simple. Next one. High income earners retiring October 31st, 2024. That date itself is not really important. That was just the example that person used. They are getting hit with IRMA. If you don't know what IRMA is, it is for people that make more money. If you make more money, you pay more for Medicare. It's pretty simple. In 2024, if you make more than $108,000 a year, you will pay more for Medicare as an individual taxpayer. If you're paying joint taxes and your taxes or your income is more than $216,000 for the whole household, you will pay more for Medicare, right? And if you don't know how much more, you can go check out the sliding scale in the Medicare and You guide, and they will tell you exactly how much more you're going to pay based on your income. But the question here is, when can I submit the appeal form? You can submit it as soon as they get hit with that first bill on IRMA. As soon as they get hit with the first bill, go ahead and submit the appeal. Remember that IRMA income calculations are based on your income 2 years prior to today, right? So if it's in 2024, if their income in 2022 was lower, you might be able to appeal that and help them out. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait, right? Now, if their income is substantially lower in 2025 as a projection, you can also start this appeal process, and you can again start it as soon as they get that first bill. Couple more. This one is a hot one right now, because this is something that all of you, if you're out there selling in the Medicare space, are going to be faced with. And there's some ethical thoughts about this. There is some profit thoughts about this. This is a big deal. So number one, we know that, as I pointed out in the beginning of the show, about 1.8 million Medicare beneficiaries are all going to lose their Medicare Advantage plan involuntarily by no fault of their own. Anytime that happens, whether it's employer group coverage or Medicare Advantage plan, and we'll stick with the Medicare Advantage plan side, although the rules are the same. Anytime someone loses coverage, all 50 states and Puerto Rico, anytime someone loses their Medicare Advantage plan involuntarily, which is what is happening to 1.8 million seniors coast to coast like butter and toast, they get a 63-day guarantee issue window for any for Medicare supplement plans. Plan availability will differ slightly by state, but in every state, it's either plans A, C, as in Charlie, or F as in Frank, depending on their Part A effective date. If Part A was effective before 2020, then every state requires that the Medicare supplement carriers can offer plans A, C, or F guarantee issue for anyone that loses coverage involuntarily. If their Part A effective date is after January 1st, 2020, then it's plans A, D as in dog, and G as in giraffe. They got a 63-day window from the date from the date that their cancellation occurred to fill out a Medicare supplement app and get it guarantee issued, no questions asked. Okay? Very key point. 63 days. So it has to be 63 days, has to be within the signature date, has to be within 63 days of December 31st in this case, because this is when those 1.8 million seniors will lose their coverage, right? Their cancellation starts January 31st. Now, if they have their letter that shows, hey, your cancellation, your plan is going to end January 31st, well, most of your Medicare supplement carriers will also allow you to submit that app 60 days early. So if you want to make sure that you don't wait until after December 31st, when you're within their 60-day window to get it written, get the app written before that with the effective date January 1st, and that way they have coverage immediately. Okay? Now, bad news. Bad news. Pretty much no carrier is going to pay you anything good for commission. Maybe Blue Cross. But nobody else is going to pay you any comp on that. You're going to make maybe $25. I think Cigna pays you 3% one time, something like that, or maybe it's 2%. Mutual Omaha, I think, pays you $25 one time. So while it is an extremely nice thing to do for your client to get them very well covered, understand that it is not a commission-rich endeavor. And I'm pointing that out not because I think that you that are listening are a commission chaser. I'll refrain from the other word that I might want to use. But because there are guys out there are people out there like, oh, wow, this is a great opportunity where I can go clean up a whole bunch of Medicare supplement business, guarantee issue, and make a killing because I suck at underwriting apps. No, you're not. You're not going to make a killing. You're going to bust your ass. You're going to spend a bunch of money marketing these people and finding them, and you're going to make 25 bucks an app. That's it. No renewals, no nothing. Now, if you have people in your book of business that fall into this space and you know in your heart of hearts that putting them on a Medicare supplement would absolutely be the most ethical, most wonderful, most helpful thing for them, that's a question you got to face yourself. I would think, hopefully you do it for them and you take it and you're just like, you know what, I'm going to take this one on the chin, but I'm going to do what's right for this person. And I'm going to get them their guarantee issue opportunity on a Meds Up, take my $25 and move on down the road, right? But I want to bring it up because it's important that, number one, you understand the rule that they get 63 days to get that coverage in force after their loss of coverage. You're going to need a copy of the letter that shows they're losing coverage and what the date of the cancellation is. And then you can turn that into any Medicare supplement carrier for either plans A, C, or F, or A, D, and G, depending on their 2020 prior or post effective date for Part A. Now, some states like Ohio, they're going to give a whole host of plans that are required to be issued a guarantee issue under that situation. So look up your specific state guidelines for what plans you're allowed to sell. I believe it is never Plan N. I don't think there's any state that allows you to do Plan N under that situation, but they definitely, all states will include Plan A, C, or F, or A, D, and G, depending on if they're pre or post MACRA. So fairly simple, but understand again, like it's not a commission-rich endeavor. Moving right along. For 2025, the 2000 RX cap and payment plan applies to Medicare Advantage, correct? Yes, it does. I probably should have hit this one earlier when we were doing the other 2000 cap, but yes, it applies to standalone drug plans and Medicare Advantage plans as well that include MAPD. MA plans only, no. And if you're writing MA only plans to people that aren't veterans, you're probably doing a disservice to a lot of folks. But yes, it does include Medicare Advantage plans, basically anything that has the Part D coverage included, which would be your standalone Part D, and then finally your Medicare Advantage plans that include Part D. Last question, because I haven't seen any coming in the chat, but here we go. One more. I have a client that wants to leave her employer's healthcare coverage, but she gets Botox for migraines. Will an MAPD cover that? Will it? Yes, it will. But it ain't going to cover it the way you like it. It's probably first going to come with prior authorization to make sure that she actually even needs that Botox to help her migraine. Can't she just take a couple of Advil and sleep it off? Come on. But they will cover it under Part B outpatient drugs as a 20. Most of them, I think I've only ever seen one plan that was less than a 20% copayment for outpatient drugs. I don't remember what plan it was. I think it was a C-SNP of some sort. But the vast majority of them are going to charge you a 20% copayment. Now, I'm not real familiar with how Botox costs. I don't think it's super expensive. So your 20% copayment might be $100 or $200. But yes, if they're on an MAPD, they will get exactly what Medicare covers, original Medicare, in regards to outpatient drugs that are administered by a doctor, and they would have a 20% coinsurance for Botox. Now, if they had a Medicare supplement plan, Medicare would pay their 80%, and then your Medicare supplement would pick up its 20% minus your Part B deductible. Gives you a little better coverage there. But regardless, yes, that MAPD will cover Botox injections. You're probably going to need prior authorization to get it done, and it's going to be with the 20% co-insurance. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. I hope everybody is ready for a rock-solid AEP. I know we are. Inbound calls are going crazy. Traffic is hot. And I am super excited. We have a pretty nice goal here in the office with some bonuses behind it. So I'm looking forward to paying my team some bonus money this year. But with that said, man, that is Tuesday training for the day. Get out there, kick some ass. Let's all help a ton of people this year. I will see y'all next week for Tuesday training.